Taking a cue from the question 10 that has been asked to Foucault, in question number 11, he was asked that whenever any country or a state is run, and it always occupies some kind of dominance or power, because power networks are very manipulative also. It is not only forceful, sometimes it becomes manipulative. Now Foucault is asked that, don't you think that state also, such kind of power relation also gives rise to some kind of revolution, okay, brings about some kind of revolution from the other end? Because if you have a dominant power, if you, and you have a submissive power, at one point of time the submissive power comes to rise, and they begin to create revolution. So don't you think that power, the state becomes like an opponent to the revolutionaries? Don't you think that the concept or the conflicts grow even worse? I mean, it becomes bigger. Don't you think that it becomes bigger? What is your take on that? So Foucault was asked on this ground. The 12th question was asked to Foucault about war. And here Alessandro talks about Clausewitz. Okay, Clausewitz wrote a book on war, and that book was more about military and political strategies, and Foucault was asked that, don't you think that the continuation of any kind of war, if there is a political war also between the state and the revolutionary, which we have known from the 11th question, then this continuation of war, don't you think that it is politics? Because Clausewitz formula that that tells about war, war, of course it is made out of politics, but the continuation of war is again a different phase of politics. And he was describing, Foucault was asked about power and war as a metaphorical model. Okay, if war is a metaphorical model, and if it is some kind of operation or function of power, so he was asked on that. If war is a metaphorical model which has like an everyday mode of operation, is it a kind of function, is it a kind of operation of power? So he was asked like that. Okay, is war a kind of operation of power? Because if continuation of war, if you go by the Clausewitz formula that any continuation of war is a politics, or okay, then don't you think that this particular war as a if you consider war as a metaphorical model, don't you think that it is also some kind of operation of power? This is the question that has been asked to Foucault. In the first part of the 13th question, Foucault is asked about why are the public, or why are the people, the subjects of a country or a nation, why we guys need surveillance, why surveillance is required? Okay, then surveillance is also one kind of a control, and that control is one kind of a power. Now the question is here that every power structure or every state here means a country, a nation, okay, and every state, they have got different bodies. They have a global body, okay, they have a molar body, they have a body of population. So the government needs to know about what is going around. They need to understand the people, okay. In a way, government is also playing or controlling our individual life, okay, individual life in a way. For example, if I'm just giving you an example that is not part of the question, that if you want a live-in relationship with a partner, okay, in Dibrugarh, and if you ask for a rented house, if you ask for a rented room, and you tell the person, that the owner, that you want to live in with your partner, you will never be allowed without marriage. Okay, why? Because that is not legally acceptable. And you will produce a child, perhaps you might not, but if you produce a child, that will not be counted as legal, illegitimate issue. Okay, so government wants to also check why nowadays marriages, legal marriages or court marriages are more important than the other one, the celebrated one. Okay, because government keeps a record of who is getting married and how many marriages are happening, how many issues are produced. So they also are controlling in a way. Why we have to register our Aadhaar card? Why we have to make PAN cards? These are nothing but government strategies of knowing the population, knowing the subjects, knowing the bodies. Okay, we are at the grassroots level, and government is keeping an eye on us, definitely. Now the question is, what is the relationship of these inter networks, or the bodies, the different bodies that he's talking about, the global, the molar body, the people. He's mainly referring to the bureaucracy. Okay, bureaucracy and the bureaucrats, the political system, how they are interrelated, how people are interrelated to one another, and ultimately to the government. Like, we are not directly related to Modi, but how we are related in some way, how he is the prime minister of our country. Okay, so in a way we have some kind of relation. What is that kind of relation? So Foucault was asked about the how this relationship works, or how this relationship functions, the relationship between the inter bodies, the different bodies, the micro bodies, the discipline, the power, how this discipline work actually. Okay, so that is asked in the 13th question. The last and the 14th question is asked about the role of intellectuals in a society, especially in a state. What is the role of intellectuals? If they themselves belong to a privileged class, how will they know what is happening in the grassroots level? Because they have never experienced that. But if an intellectual comes from the grassroots level, at least they are believed that they would represent the people, the community. Okay, so for example, I would like to draw upon this particular, Horbananda Sonwal. Horbananda Sonwal, he hails from Upper Assam. So definitely in some way Upper Assam is getting noticed or recognized. Why? Because we have thought that he is there. So maybe, I'm not saying that he belongs to that. We are talking about him as an intellectual. I'm not saying about that, because he's into politics. He's not playing the role of an intellectual. Intellectual, which we call, is the buddhijeevi, the people who are very much, they know the strategies. They are like advisors to the ministers. Okay, they are advisors to the ministers, and they make the ministers or the rulers aware of what is happening around. Okay, so Foucault was asked that whatever Foucault has been doing in his research, so what is the result? Like, what is the role of intellectuals, and how, according to Foucault, should be an intellectual? What is the position? We already know the answer, however, but we should know that on what basis he is asked about the role of intellectual, because you have to look at this particular pattern, that in the 14th and the last question, this particular question of the role of intellectuals comes as a solution. Okay, but we cannot, Foucault also mentions that we cannot entirely depend upon the intellectuals until they realize themselves that what is going on at the grassroots level. So the basic point here is that what they should play, what is their role in a state, according to Foucault, because he has made all these analyses, right? Now, what is his solution from the angle of role of intellectuals? That is what is asked. Okay, we have talked about like the struggles. We have talked about the power struggles. Like, he has already mentioned about the power struggles that goes between people, between subjects, between government and the revolutionaries. We talk about that, no doubt. But Where are the intellectuals? At least they should understand they don't belong to politics, they don't belong to the absolutely to, they are not, they are different from the public or the grassroots level because they are educated and experienced. Okay, they are highly educated, they understand both the parties, so their role is in between, right? And therefore Foucault was asked this question, that what is the role of intellectuals then? All right.